My Weird School. Fast Facts. Geography. Written by Dan Gutman. Pictures by Jim Pelot. Chapter 3. The Continents. Arlo, do you know what a continent is? Sure, a continent is when you go to the bathroom in your pants. No, Arlo, you're thinking of incontinence. I knew that. I just thought it would be funny to talk about going to the bathroom in your pants in a book about geography. Hey, speaking of going to the bathroom in your pants, can we talk about exploding volcanoes now? No, I'm going to try to put everything you just said out of my mind. A continent is a really large landmass. There are 7 of them on the Earth. Here they are in size order from biggest to smallest: Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia or Oceania. It's hard to believe, but millions of years ago, those 7 continents were connected in one huge landmass called Pangaea. That means all land. Nobody knew that until 1912, when a German scientist named Alfred Wegener noticed that the coastlines of South America and Africa look like they could fit together like the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. You can see them for yourself if you look at a map. Go ahead, we'll wait. And now we know how it happened. The Earth's crust is divided into these gigantic sections called tectonic plates. Some of these plates contain continents. Others carry the ocean floor. The plates float over the Earth's bubbling, boiling, molten mantle, sort of like rafts in a swimming pool. And believe it or not, these tectonic plates are moving right now, even as you read this. But don't worry, it's not like you're going to fall off the continent or anything. Tectonic plates can only move a few inches every year. They say that the continents move at about the same rate your fingernails grow. That's just a weird comparison. By the way, the Arctic is not a continent. Scientists used to think it was a huge landmass covered by ice, just like Antarctica. But in 1958, they discovered there's no landmass there. It's just floating ice. How did they figure that out? Simple. A submarine went under the ice cap and came out the other side. Asia. If you made a list of the biggest, the highest, and the lowest continents, Asia would be the winner. It's the biggest continent by far in square miles. It has the highest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. And it has the lowest point on the planet, the shores of the Dead Sea. Do you know how many people live in Asia? More than 4 billion. That's a lot of people. In fact, more people live in Asia than on all the other continents put together. The Great Wall of China was begun in the 8th century BC. The Chinese wanted to defend their country from an invasion from the north. They worked on the wall for over 2,000 years. Wow, my dad put up a wall in our basement. It only took a few days. That's just silly, Arlo. By the way, people will tell you that the Great Wall is the only man-made object that can be seen from outer space. That's baloney. The wall is only 30 feet at its widest point. No way you're going to see that from space. In America, Stan is a guy's name, but in Central Asia, Stan means homeland. There are 5 countries there that end with Stan: Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. And if you can spell any of them, you should get the Nobel Prize. That's a prize they give out to people who can spell weird country names. Did you ever wish you lived on an island? Well, you should go to Indonesia. This one country is made up of 13,000 islands. A lot of people must like to live on an island because Indonesia is the fourth most populated country in the world. My mom once told me a wise saying, "No man is an island." That made no sense at all. No man is a toothbrush either. But we don't go around making up wise sayings about it. The Komodo dragon is a giant lizard that can only be found in Indonesia. It can grow to more than 10 feet and weigh over 300 pounds. Komodo dragons eat all kinds of meat, including humans. So maybe you don't want to go to Indonesia after all. Europe. Do you know what they say when you go to the bathroom in France? European. Get it? European? European? That's horrible, Arlo. I know. But did you know you could stand with 1 foot in Europe and 1 foot in Asia without even having to do a split? It's true. 2 countries, Russia and Turkey, are partly in Europe and partly in Asia. And there's one major city that is in both continents, Istanbul. That's a good trivia question to ask your parents, by the way. I bet they won't get it right. Unless, of course, you live in Istanbul. Great Britain is a group of 3 countries in Europe and is also an island. To make things more confusing, the United Kingdom is made up of 4 countries, England, Scotland, and Wales, which are all part of Great Britain, and also Northern Ireland, which is not. Almost half of the Netherlands is below sea level. That doesn't mean that the people of the Netherlands sit around underwater all day long. That would be weird. But thanks to a complicated system of dikes, canals, and pumping stations, they have managed to keep the water away from the island. The word Netherlands actually means low country. It would be cool to hop on your bike anywhere in your country, ride for 5 minutes, and be in a different country. Well, there's only one place in the world where you could do that. Vatican City. It's the smallest country in the world, 1/5 of a square mile. That's about the size of 100 football fields. Vatican City is in the middle of Rome, Italy, and it's the seat of the Roman Catholic Church. Only about 800 people live there, but Vatican City has its own coins, stamps, and passports. Africa. Here's another good question to ask your know-it-all parents. How many tigers are there in Africa? The answer is none. It was a trick question. Tigers are native to Asia, not Africa. So na boo-boo on your parents. There are more than 50 countries in Africa, and the people there speak 2,000 different languages. Well, all of them don't speak 2,000 languages. That would be weird. Most of them probably only speak 1 or 2 languages. But you know what I mean. Does your mom have a diamond ring or diamond earrings? They probably came from Africa. More than half of the world's diamonds come from there. By the way, next to Arlo's head, a diamond is the hardest natural substance found on Earth. Diamonds are not just used for rings and earrings. They're also used in saws and drills that can cut through granite. If you like to fly kites or ride dune buggies, you should go to Namibia. The rust-red sand dunes there are the highest in the world. The largest one is called Big Daddy, and it's more than 1,000 feet high. Namibia would also be a good place to build sand castles. The countries of Europe used to send people to Africa to establish colonies there, the same way they had colonies in America. But by 1991, those colonies had all gained their independence, and most of them changed their names. So if you look at a map of Africa from before the 1990s and compare it with a recent map, you'll see that most of the names of the countries are different. I guess the map makers were really happy because everybody had to go out and buy new maps. North America. If you're reading this book, you probably live here, so you should know something about it. And if you're not reading this book, how do you even know I just wrote that? The highest point in North America is Mount Denali, also known as Mount McKinley. It's in Alaska and it's 20,320 feet above sea level. That is high. The lowest point in North America is Death Valley, California. It's 282 feet below sea level. We'll talk more about Death Valley later. If you look at a map, you'll see there's a lot of water between Siberia and Alaska. But thousands of years ago, that water wasn't there. The first Americans actually walked here, across that land bridge. That's how people spread across North America. And you thought they took the train. The Grand Canyon was carved by the Colorado River over millions of years. It's one of the 7 wonders of the natural world. Do you know how many dinosaur fossils have been found in the Grand Canyon? None. That's because the canyon is so old that it's older than the dinosaurs. Some people think Mexico is in South America. Those people are called dumbheads. Mexico is south of the United States of America, but that doesn't mean it's in South America. Mexico is in North America. So are the countries of Central America: Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. Central America is the strip of land that connects North and South America. Mexico, Central America, and South America are sometimes called Latin America. That's weird because hardly anybody there speaks Latin. In fact, hardly anybody anywhere speaks Latin. Greenland is the largest island in North America. It doesn't have the perfect name because it's not very green. In fact, 80% of it is covered in ice. Only 57,000 people live in Greenland. That's less than the number of people who attend an average NFL game. Many scientists think the dinosaurs were wiped out 65 million years ago when a comet slammed into North America and caused climate change. That comet left a huge crater, and it's still there. It's in Chicxulub on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. And don't ask me how to pronounce Chicxulub. Did you ever wonder why North America and South America are called America? I'll tell you why. They were named after an Italian explorer named Amerigo Vespucci. So why weren't they named Vespucci? Because it would be weird to call our country the United States of Vespucci. Speaking of South America, like Europe and Asia, North and South America are really just one continent. They're connected by Central America, which is an isthmus. Don't bother looking up isthmus. I already did. An isthmus is a strip of land that connects two larger land areas. The Amazon rainforest is the biggest tropical rainforest in the world, over 2.5 million square miles. It sits mostly in Brazil, Peru, and Colombia. The Amazon River, the second longest river in the world, flows through the rainforest. By the way, the wettest inhabited place on Earth is Buenaventura, Colombia. The highest waterfall in the world is Angel Falls in Venezuela. It's 3,212 feet high. Do you think there's a single place on Earth that has not been explored by humans? There could be. Before 1911, no Westerner had ever seen or visited Machu Picchu. It's an ancient city in Peru built high in the mountains. Australia, New Zealand, and Oceania. Did you ever hear of a continent called Oceania? I'll bet your parents never did either. But geographers now group Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Tasmania, and thousands of islands in the South Pacific together into a continent they call Oceania. thousands of islands. I bet that's where Thousand Island dressing came from. Actually, it didn't, Arlo. Thousand Island dressing came from the thousands of islands between the United States and Canada and the St. Lawrence River. Nice try, though. Some of those thousands of islands in Oceania may someday be covered by the Pacific Ocean if climate change leads to rising sea levels. Many people from the island country of Tuvalu have already moved to New Zealand, just in case. Australia has lots of interesting animals, like koalas, kangaroos, platypuses, and my personal favorite, the Tasmanian devil. It's a meat-eating marsupial. That's an animal that carries its young in a pouch on the mother's belly, and it lives only in Tasmania, an island off Australia's southeastern coast. The reason why Australia has a lot of plants and animals that are different is because it's so far away from Earth's other land masses. In fact, Australia didn't have any cats, rabbits, or foxes until the Europeans brought them there. Antarctica. Some days, when I'm feeling sad, I want to run away to Antarctica and go live with the penguins. Penguins are cool. Their parents never yell at them. They don't have to do homework or go to school and learn stuff. Nobody tells the people in Antarctica that they're secretly in love with Andrea. But if I actually went to Antarctica, I would be afraid, because it's at the very bottom of the world. If you fall off the bottom, where do you go? Into outer space? I don't know, and I don't want to find out. Do you know what the largest land animal is in Antarctica? If you guessed penguins, you're wrong. Penguins are sea animals. The largest land animal in Antarctica is the wingless midge. It's an insect, and it's less than half an inch long. Antarctica is where the South Pole would pop out if it was a real pole and not just some imaginary spot on the bottom of the world. But it is an imaginary place. What's the point of talking about it? Santa Claus doesn't even live there. Antarctica is the coldest continent on the planet. How cold is it? It's so cold that the birds pick up worms with gloves on. That wasn't funny the first time, Arlo. But the truth is that it's so cold that there aren't any countries in Antarctica and hardly any people. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was in Antarctica, of course. In July 1983, the temperature reached, are you ready for this? 128 degrees below zero. Yes, that's minus 128 degrees. I feel sorry for the guy who had to go outside to check that thermometer. Naturally, there are a lot of icebergs around Antarctica. Some of them are really huge. The biggest iceberg ever seen in the waters around Antarctica measured 208 miles long and 60 miles wide. Wow, that's bigger than some countries. Antarctica is the only continent that gets larger and smaller during the year. In the winter, sea ice forms around the continent, and it more than doubles its size. They probably have a lot of snow in Antarctica, right? Wrong again. Snow doesn't form when it's too cold outside, so they hardly get any snow at all in Antarctica. And the small amount of snow they do get never melts. It just builds up to form big sheets of ice. And you know what those sheets of ice are called? Ice sheets. Duh, so they have the perfect name. Actually, the whole continent of Antarctica is technically a desert because it gets less than 2 inches of precipitation a year. There's also a huge lake under all that Antarctic ice. The weird thing is that nobody even knew about it until 1996 when scientists discovered it using radar. You probably wouldn't want to go swimming in Lake Vostok, though. It's 2.5 miles under the ice cap. Antarctica's ice cap holds 70% of the Earth's fresh water. The other 30% is in my uncle's swimming pool. Okay, I made that last part up, but my uncle does have a big pool. If you ask me, Antarctica is cool, in more ways than one.